Hey, welcome back to Mind Up Monday. It's 2020. I hope everyone enjoyed their new year, enjoyed the holidays. I know I did. It was great to have a little bit of time off, but now we're all back to the swing of things. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about a myth that I commonly hear in baseball. It's one that some of my athletes have been bringing to me, and it doesn't make any sense, and it's not sitting very well with me. So this idea is the idea of running poles. Now, for those of you that don't know, running poles means that after a pitcher pitches it might be in a game or it might be after a pitching practice, and it may even just be in general the rest of the players on the team. But pitchers specifically will jog out and sprint in between poles, the light poles around the field. So they're going to jog to one pole, then sprint to the next pole, then jog to the next pole, then sprint, jog, sprint, jog, sprint, jog. For however many times that the coach has them do this. There's been no real specified amount of time, but this doesn't make a whole lot of sense physiologically. Now, I know that coaches probably mean well, and they're just doing what their coaches had them do. Although, having played baseball and having been a pitcher, I didn't once have a coach tell me to do this, so I'm not sure where exactly this came from, but it makes no sense. So I want to dive into that idea of running poles. So first off, a little bit of background on pitching. Pitching time, like to actually wind up and throw the ball, 1.8 seconds. Now that includes the windup, where there's not a lot happening. It's very aerobic in that you're just standing there, you pivot, leg comes up, but then from whip to, or like cocking the arm to actually throwing and releasing the ball is about a second or less. So half of this time is just the windup. And then time between pitches is on average about 20 seconds. Now there's an NCAA rule that states that it has to be 18 seconds or less. In Canada, I don't know that anybody is timing anyone. And in the majors, I don't think there's anything that follows that rule specifically. So this is being very generous in a 20-second time between pitches and a 1.8 second pitch time. If we look at that in a work to rest ratio, that's about less than 1 to 10, which is alactic in nature. If we took only the actual throwing, like the arm is back and then to release, that's going to be a 1 to 20 work to rest ratio or less than. Again, being very alactic in nature. So if we look at the physiology of that and what's going on in the body, the fact that it's alactic means that it happens so fast. It's using your ATP CP system or your creatine phosphate system, which recovers very quickly. It creates energy quickly. It lasts up to 10, 11 seconds. Some will say if you're well trained, your alactic capacity could go a little bit beyond that to 15 seconds. But nonetheless, it's 10 seconds or less in general. So 10 seconds or less, that's a pitch, right? That's a throw. That's a shot put, that's discus, that's hammer. Like, all of these are less than 10 seconds. They're very alactic in nature, which means they're not producing metabolites that are causing a lot of metabolic fatigue. They are very neurologically taxing, which means there's a high neural output. It's fatiguing your central nervous system, your brain. So anyone that's done a really hard neurologically taxing workout, you feel pretty good afterwards, but then you feel like you just want to sleep forever. You're not physically like bent over, tired, huffing and puffing type of workout, but everything just kind of feels a little bit heavy, and the next day you kind of feel a little bit heavier, a little bit sluggish. That's a neurally taxing workout. So that's what this is. when we add in pulls and you're running, I'm assuming presuming it's about 5 to 10 seconds of sprinting and about 10 to 20 seconds of recovery in the jog between pulls. So this turns into a 1 to 2 work to rest ratio. Now it's very aerobic or anaerobic. What's happening in the body is now you're starting to produce metabolic waste. You're starting to produce a lot of excess hydrogen ions within the body. So now you've got these excess hydrogen ions creating or attributing to some of the fatigue, some of the stress. Your legs are starting to get heavy. That's the burn that you're starting to feel in the legs and in the lungs. So you've gone from this neurologically taxing event of pitching to now to recover, you're asking the athlete to do repeated sprints, adding to the already fatigued athlete in an idea of recovering. Does this sound like it doesn't work? Because it doesn't. All you're doing is accumulating fatigue by adding this anaerobic piece in. It doesn't make any sense. So I understand that whoever might be implementing this is doing it with the best of intentions, and that's fine that you're doing it with the best of intentions, but there's ways to do this better without putting your athlete at risk of pulling a hamstring, injuring the lower body, prolonging the necessary time for recovery. Because all you're doing is accumulating fatigue. It's going to take them longer to get themselves out of that hole that they just dug by pitching, however long or however many pitches that was. And now you're asking them to recover from a further hole that they've dug from doing repeated sprints. So what could we do for recovery instead? Well, to warm the athlete up, right? They do their shoulder work. They do some easy toss back and forth with their partner, and then they're progressively going to add speed or distance to it. They'll probably work out to a certain distance. If they're outside, if they're inside, they'll just add some speed to it. They might go as far as whatever. If you're in a gymnasium in the winter, they're going to go as far as they can, but they're progressively warming up the speed of the movement, getting faster and faster, and then they'll go to practicing either flat ground pitches or practicing on a rollout mound if they got it, or if they're actually pitching on the field, then they'll go to the mound there, and now they'll start to warm up on the mound, and again. So the warm-up takes a while, then they pitch the entire game. Afterwards, you're basically just reversing that order and bringing it back down. So to recover, we want to have the pitchers go to like some soft toss after, and this can be very technical in nature, but they're just working on the mechanics and they're just slowing the speed down, bringing it down. They're not at risk of any injury. And we're just cooling down the nervous system and bringing it back down because it's been fired up. So this is going to help the athlete and promote the idea of neural recovery post stressful workout. After this, you could have them do some shoulder work. You know, do their bands that they would do pre-game or pre-practice. You could have a separate circuit for post-game stuff that's focused on a little bit different. It's going to be similar but different, but maybe just so that the athlete doesn't get bored. There's some different exercise in it, but I mean, there's only so many ways to do bands for your shoulder. And then after that, gentle stretch / massage / EMS, electrical muscle stimulation if they've got that unit. Throw it on the shoulders, just do some tone reduction type work. But the idea is that we're just shaking out the muscles, trying to reduce some of that tension because the nervous system's all jacked up. That's going to create tension within the system, and we want to bring that down, and we want to help them do it more artificially, because the body's going to take so much time to do it, and you can't speed that process up, but we can facilitate it. We can help the body out a little bit. And electrical muscle stimulation, super cheap way would be something like a Dr. O or TENS unit. There are other units out there. You can check out guys like Derek Hansen or speedcoach.com. They've got units for sale using Compex or Globus. That's a whole other thing. So you got that. And then you could add ice. I wouldn't really, but if the players like it, so be it. Depends what their next sort of few days look like. You're not going to reduce any swelling. It's more, if they like it and they think it works, probably works. But yeah, I would go here and then and stop there. So soft toss, technical focus afterwards, shoulder work, and then gentle stretch, massage, EMS. Make sure that they get a good night's sleep afterwards. Sleep, eat. Those are the main ones. That's your recovery. Just as a sprinter warms up with technical work, and then progressive sprints, and then full sprints, and then the race, they're going to cool down in the same manner. They're going to do some technical work to slow down. They're going to do a walk jog. They're going to do some hip work, some back work, some leg work, and then gentle massage, EMS, some stretching, and sleeping and eating. That's your number one recovery tools there. So this is what you're looking at, and get rid of that out of your arsenal. If you need that for conditioning, fine, but it's not for recovery purposes. Recovery, right there. If you have any questions or comments, please post them below. Shoot me a message at Speed Mechanics on Instagram or on Facebook, or shoot me a message, info@speedmechanics.ca. Until next time, have a good one. Thanks.